system integrator deploying, of course, wireless networks. Our traditional type of networks was a lot of microwave, point-to-point, and cell site build-outs in the 90s. And we really got into the broadband arena probably in around 99, where we built our first true municipal network. And it was a 900 megahertz citywide network. And it still exists today. It's still being used. We are talking to that customer about upgrading, but it has sustained an almost 8, possible 9-year lifespan. Our first mesh system we started in 2002, was completed in 2003 in a city in Cocoa Beach. Again, it was a citywide deployment. Both of those networks were really spurred on by the city's need to manage assets. And we all talk, most of us here who come from the IT world, I used to be an IT manager for a nuclear engineering company, back in the days when it was Windows for Workgroups, the big workstation thing that came in. Every time someone came into the office, they had to have a computer. They had to be connected to the network. We had to make sure that they were connected into a network. Well, that today and for the last little while, is really what the cities are facing. Every piece of electronics today comes with an IP address. Well, how do we manage that asset? Where is it in our city? And unlike a traditional business where we have 4 walls around us, there's usually an Ethernet connection, or it's very easy to get connected into a network. Well, the city doesn't have that luxury. Their office borders are, of course, the city limits. So wireless is a very effective way of getting connected into those assets. And so unlike we're hearing a lot of digital divide discussion, a lot of public access, internet access, broadband, the broadband demand for internet access, well, yes, that exists as well. But the city also has an internal use, and that's managing their assets, getting these databases and tools out to their users that are out there in the city. And so we've really although we do Wi-Fi for public access, we've really been focused based on our past history and our success with municipalities in trying to bring this tool, Muni Wireless, in a fundamental way that they can use, and that makes sense for them. And so they're not competing against the local incumbents. They're not delivering internet access, but they need broadband too. And so we've been focused on that. So what I wanted to bring to your attention today was, what are the implementations of a mesh network? What are some of the key elements? Obviously, coverage design is a big part of it. Some planning considerations, some preparatory planning, some deployment steps. What are the lessons learned here? And some applications that municipalities are using today. And then if you have any questions or answers either through that or at the end, please feel free to just jump right in. So some of the key elements, we at Scientel believe there's sort of 3 legs to this stool called, municipal wireless. There's an RF wireless element of this thing, which is, you heard Chip say that there's a difference coming from indoor to outdoor. As soon as you come outdoor, you've gone from, this much sort of elements to consider into, this much. And that could be any frequency now comes into play. There's something called noise floor, which you have to contend to. There's, of course, trees. There's physical limitations, so that's a really critical element. And the IT portion of this, as wireless and IP start to merge, this becomes a bigger issue now. So how does this wireless network integrate into the existing network? How do you get the applications out there and back, of course? So that of course is also a key element. And of course the civil design and installation, and we're talking about, and the old broadband is just, or mesh is just really a nice simple way of saying reusing spectrum. Where I think we're finding that in order to really give broadband to everybody, the sites are decreasing, and so that you can reuse spectrum. Well, they're decreasing to a point that we have to use all these lampposts, and so by doing that, we're increasing the amount of infrastructure. In the city of Providence, we're roughly around 600 devices scattered throughout the city. So it becomes very important, and well, how do I install these devices? Because if you just put them where it's easy to install, then you're back on the first element, which is your wireless implementation just kind of goes out the window. So very important, they all 3 kind of have to work together, and it's really the 3 main elements of deploying a municipal mesh system. So the coverage design is obviously the big one. You need a baseline for a design. So you need to define what the coverage area is going to be. We've at least in this morning session, I heard some discussion about indoor-outdoor. Of course, that plays a big part of it. Sort of what's your current and future application support? In order for a properly designed network, you must understand what you're designing for. In some cases, if video is part of it, which most of them are today, that needs to be known ahead of time, because obviously that's going to require a lot more gateways within your network. I'm trying not to use any sort of manufactured buzzwords. It becomes more difficult. But sort of gateways scattered throughout your network, what kind of backhaul you're going to support. So your node count's going to increase dramatically due to coverage. You know, this is a perfect 20-80 rule, where 20% of your budget will get you 80% coverage, and then the rest of that 80% is going to give you 20%. And that is such a true statement.